All right, welcome aboard. Guess what day it is? It's Andrea Baseball Day. Saturday, fantasy baseball with me. You know what we're doing. We like to wait for the sound to come in the chat room, and it looks like it already is. So let me just tell our friends in the chat room to refresh, and we will get right on baseball. Saturday baseball. Welcome to everybody in the chat room. Thank you for joining me on a Saturday morning. Rotorius, Unholy, hello Audrey, Scooter, Tilly, Molly, and Rudy. I wonder if they hear me. Can they hear me, Unholy? I hope they raise their heads up and say, oh good, it's Andrea talking baseball again on a Saturday. Post 1958, Daniel's here. What's your son's name? I'd like to say hi to your wonderful son. Hopefully he's listening today too. Boston Paul is here. Data Premier. SM King Turd. Whoop-de-doo, dude. We will welcome the newest addition to King Turd family. That is Little Turd Juniorette was born yesterday, and we congratulate Turd on his second baby. He's got a 4-year-old boy. That's Turd Jr. He just went to his first Major League Baseball game, and of course, it was the Texas Rangers. What a great season for him to go to his first game. And you know, I always like to say, when you take a kid to their first baseball game, they tend to be fans for life. So, good job on that. And Rudy, hello to Rudy. What's up, dude? I miss you. I don't even know if I ever met Rudy. I think Unholy only had 3 dogs when I met him, but they're all part of the family, and we love every last one of them. Good morning to Chris from Cambridge. Let's get started, shall we? I mean, I'm sure this first news isn't going to surprise anybody that Eloy is out again. Daniel, what the hell? This guy, first of all, Lenny would be very annoyed that Eloy is having babies in the middle of the season, but I disagree with him on that. Anyway, we know Eloy misses enough time. Now he's on the paternity list. Congratulations to Eloy, but
Laura Malpal.
Hello, Laura. Hello, Mary. Hello, Malpal. Great to see you in the chat room this Saturday morning. So, with Eloy going to the paternity list, you got Lennon Sosa recalled from Charlotte. What do you think of Lennon Sosa, Daniel, Mr. White Sox fan? We have a resident White Sox fan in the chat room. Now, today is official Miggy Cabrera Day. He hit, let's tell you what this is only going to cover a little bit because now he's tied in RBI for 11th place all time. He's got 1,868 RBI in his career. That was after he hit a first inning double yesterday. And of course, Tito Luna, welcome aboard, and Jeter too. Leonard Donaldson is here. Hello to Rudy. That's pretty cute. Okay, so not only did Miguel Cabrera tie for 11th place in RBI all time with Mel Ott, but I also went and looked at his career stats because it's not just RBIs. This guy has, Lenny was talking a lot about Stanton this week and how 500 home runs or 60 in a season is the, what do you call it?
That's the benchmark.
That's the benchmark for Hall of Fame. Now, Miggy has 509 home runs in his career. He's got 3,148 hits, 1,148 extra base hits, 1,252 walks. And in 2,771 games played, Miguel Cabrera has a career average of 307, 383 on base percentage, and a 903 OPS. So as much as he's underperformed, and it's the end of his career, and the last few years haven't been great. I mean, we're talking about his career batting average is still at 307. This guy deserved a lot of credit for his career, and I'm sure there will be no doubt that Miguel Cabrera gets in the Hall of Fame. Also, King Turd brings up Eloy did strain his calf. And that's true. He did. He was already sitting out because he strained his calf. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the rest will do him good. Good morning to Chris Gallo. Good morning to Leonard Donaldson. Great to see all of you. All right, Hurricane Hillary, Malpal, isn't it named just perfect? Hurricane Hillary, right? Going and about to hit my old hometown where I was born and raised in Idlewild, California, about to flood out the desert below that mountain, and Malpal right in the heart of San Diego, getting ready for Hurricane Hillary. She is coming, and let me tell you this. Because of Hurricane Hillary, the Sunday home games for the Padres, Dodgers, and Angels, isn't that funny? They all happen to be home right now. They all turned into doubleheaders today. So we'll have 3 doubleheaders today and then 3 less games tomorrow. Mike Trout and 10 other guys have won at least 3 MVP awards. The other 10 guys, right, they played in 512 postseason games. Mike Trout has played in, you guessed it, 3. Ken Griffey. Boston Paul sent me this tidbit this morning. Lenny already had it in the notes. So thank you to Boston Paul for sending me tidbits every once in a while. Ken Griffey Jr. is the 4th highest paid Cincinnati Red this season. They are still working through 16 years and $57.5 million of deferred payments, and they will be done in 2024. Ichiro Suzuki, we don't talk about him a lot, but it was brought up. He's got over 700 infield hits in MLB games. That's crazy. Yeah, let me know when... Okay, refreshed 5 times, no sound. Wonder what's happening there. Yeah.
SM King Turret's helping.
Thank you for helping me out, you guys. J.R. Matz is here. Good morning to J.R. Matz, to Moose, Mikey, Danny, and Mrs. Matz. Great to see you this Saturday. Tommy Johnson, great to see you too. Bo Bichette's home run last night in Buffalo. This is Buffalo in his rehab. He hit a home run. He's likely to be activated at some point this weekend. So for those of you waiting for Bo Bichette, not much longer there. Shohei Ohtani. All right, I misspoke. Chris Gallo's correcting me. I agree with you. I misspoke. It's really the benchmark to get talked about for the Hall of Fame, just to be talked about for the Hall of Fame, because Roger Maris got 43% of the vote for Hall of Fame in 1985 or one of those years in the 80s. And I'm not saying that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but that one season of 61 home runs, that put him in the discussion for talks. And there were 43% of people that thought he should be in the Hall of Fame because of that benchmark. So that's why I brought up the benchmarks that Lenny's been talking about for the last couple days. I don't mean it's like benchmark to get you in for sure, but they start talking about it. Now, I don't know if a 61 home run season now would get you even in the talk for the Hall of Fame. But that's what I meant to say. So let's get back to the tidbits. Danny Fuller here. Good morning to Danny. Mr. Dodger. Harold Baines lowered the bar. All right. Shohei Ohtani singled and scored, hit a grand slam, and then struck out 3 times as the Angels lost to the Tampa Bay Rays 9-6 and saw their playoff chances dwindle now to nearly 0. Ohtani, Lenny asked the question, who's going to have more home runs by the end of the season? Is it going to be Matt Olson or Shohei Ohtani? They are tied again after Ohtani's grand slam last night. He's now tied with Olson once again. By the 4th inning yesterday, the Marlins had 10 runs scored on 5 home runs against those pesky Dodgers, and Tony Gonsolin gave up all 10 earned runs. Ooh, you better pray you had this guy on your bench yesterday, because he just about destroyed your entire week if you didn't. Dave Roberts, here's the thing. and for Gonsolin managers, whatever, owners, we don't call them that anymore, but it still slips out. Anyway, Dave Rogers, he has been talking about this oblique problem with Tony Gonsolin for weeks. And now all of a sudden, he's admitting now after Tony Gonsolin comes out and gets completely shelled. Danny, do you think that Tony Gonsolin should have been on the injured list weeks ago? Or do you think that they kept... This is a couple questions for you, Danny. Do you believe that they kept Gonsolin pitching even though they knew he was injured because they had nobody else to pitch? Because their depth is so shallow in their starting pitching. Do you think he should have been put on the injured list a couple weeks ago no matter what it cost their pitching rotation? Because he's clearly been complaining about it for weeks. J.R. Matt says Gonsolin didn't just cost him the week, he cost him the whole season. He can't come back from what happened. The managers are idiots leaving pitchers in that long. Good morning to Eddie and Teresa. Great to see you today. Kyle Schwarber, he has 540 plate appearances so far this year. He's batting 179, and no one in MLB history has had more plate appearances in a single season with the batting average so low. And I'm going to go ahead and quickly tell you that I put this in the chat room over and over at the beginning of the season. Last year, I've been putting this in the chat room when you were drafting your team for this year. And yes, Kyle Schwarber hits home runs, but he was the only person in Major League Baseball last season to strike out more than 300 times or 200 times. I think it was 300. Anyway, he's been striking out like crazy his entire career, and I just don't get why people keep drafting him so high. I know it's based on the fact that he hits home runs, but he had the lowest batting average in baseball last year, and once again, he has the lowest batting average in baseball this year. 13 hits in 3 games for Julio Rodriguez. Now, let me tell you, this guy does not have great overall season stats. I've noticed it a couple times. He just has not performed where we drafted him. But he is on a roll right now, and even he said in an interview after the game that he doesn't remember the last time he was in such a streak, a good groove, and he doesn't remember the last time he had this good of a feeling for what he's doing right now. He's the 7th player since 1900 to record 13 hits in a 3-game span. And out of those 7, he's the only one to also record 4 stolen bases. Julio Rodriguez on Tuesday, 256 batting average, 18 home runs, and 71 runs. And 2 days later, on Thursday, 269 batting average, 20 home runs, and 78 RBIs. He's only 22 and 232 days old. He's the youngest player with 13 hits in a 3-game span since 1901. Is Julio a number 1 draft pick? Well, the thing is, wasn't he pretty close to the first round last year? He might have been in the first round. I can't remember, but
he was top pick.
Is he... Now, after what he's done, I mean, look, I'll tell you how it works. You could have a mediocre season all year long, but if you finish the season as hot as Julio is right now, he's going to go straight back up to a first-round pick or close to it. So, for those of you who have a lot of faith and love for Julio, you should be wishing that he knocks this good hitting off, because it's only going to raise his price at next year's draft. The Braves have thrown 3 straight shutouts, tied for the longest streak in franchise history. They've had 15 prior streaks of 3 shutouts, and the last one was in 2015, but they have never pushed that to 4 straight shutouts. We'll see what they do today. Now we'll talk about Spencer Strider. I could have made today official Spencer Strider Day because he deserves a lot of love too. He has 10 games this season with 10 or more strikeouts. Yesterday was his 4th career game with 10 strikeouts. while allowing 1 or no hits. It's the most such games by a pitcher before turning 25 since 1893. Hello, Coffee. Nice to see you. He also ties Dwight Gooden for the most strikeouts in the first 45 MLB starts at 392. Listen to this. He's up there with, he's tied with Dwight Gooden for the most strikeouts in a pitcher's first 45 starts in baseball. All-Star Dog, welcome. All right, yesterday, this is kind of a cute story. Laura, listen to this one. It's a Yankees tidbit, but I don't know why. My fellow female in the chat room, I have to say, this just it warms my heart, okay? Everson Pereira. He refused a Yankees promotion yesterday for fear of leaving his winning team in Scranton, right? He's down at Scranton. He says the powerhouse Rail Riders have been preaching that it was championship or bust in the clubhouse. He's at AAA. And all of a sudden, the Yankees call him up. They had every intention of starting him yesterday in left field, right? But he literally fought the organization in a tear-filled rant. They call it a fit of rage. He refused to leave his winning team. He says that he sees this year as the only shot to win a championship, and going to the Bronx doesn't get it done. It's up in the air when he'll debut, but who wouldn't want a guy like this on their team? Yes, I'm sure the Yankees were annoyed. Maybe they've never, ever experienced a youngster not want to be promoted in their life. But I will tell you what, it makes him look good because it shows how competitive he is, and he refuses to get called up because he wants his team to win. I love this kid. Last night, the attendance at Yankee Stadium was 44,566. They're still bringing in fans, but of course they were playing against the Red Sox, which always sells the park out because this used to be sports' biggest rivalry. I can't say that I think that it is anymore, but it's still a good one. The Yankees have the lowest batting average. All right. The lowest batting average that the Yankees have had for any 64-game span of the last 55 regular seasons is .221, and that is in their last 64 games. So they have the worst batting average ever. Now, since Aaron Judge hurt his toe on June 3rd, the Yankees are 25-36 with a .224 average, and they're only scoring 3.8 runs per game. But since 2017, Aaron Judge ranks first in home runs, fourth in OBP, second in slugging, second in OPS, and fourth in walks. Luis Robert is slashing .286 with a .343 on base percentage, 19 homers in his last 56 games. Only Matt Olson and Ohtani have more home runs than Robert in that span. Where are we drafting Robert next year? Stardog says if he refused a promotion when the Yankees needed him, I would be done with him. Do they really need him? But you could be done with him all you want. It's just my opinion. I love this kid because he refused to leave his team. I love him. But I understand where you're coming from, Stardog, and I respect your opinion totally. Only 2 men have 6 Grand Slams in one MLB season. All right? Can you name the 2 players that have 6 Grand Slams in one season? Go ahead. Take your picks. None of them are playing anymore, obviously. One of them was a manager recently. The Los Angeles Angels are calling up first baseman, or did call him up, Nolan Schanuel. It's Schanuel. He was the 11th overall pick in the draft just less than 6 weeks ago. This guy was already in Double-A. He's 21 years old. He's hitting .370 with a .510 on base percentage in 21 minor league games. yesterday was the day where teams can start promoting players and they can continue to be eligible as rookies for next year. So that's probably part of the reason why they brought him up. But he's the first player from the 2023 draft to make his debut in MLB. He's the fifth player from the past 2 draft classes to be promoted, and 4 of those 5 have been Angels. Don Mattingly is one of them. Don Mattingly, yes it is. Don Mattingly is one, and should I just tell you the other one? But hurry, before I lose it in my notes, I'll have to tell you now. Travis Hafner, first base Cleveland guy. Remember him? DJ LeMahieu has turned it around a bit. He has 88 plate appearances over the past month. He's batting .311, .420 on base percentage, 15.9% walk rate. Lindor is 19 for 39 with 54 RBIs with the bases loaded in his Mets career. The Marlins only need to play .500 ball for the remainder of the season to tie their 4th best record in baseball history. In team history. Hello, puppies. Great to meet you. All right. And so, like I said, we're going to go to the games here next, but the Marlins, they only need to play .500 ball for the remainder of the season to tie their 4th best record in team history. And the Marlins still have 3 at home versus the Nationals, 4 at Nationals, 3 at home versus the Mets, 3 at Mets, and 4 at Pittsburgh. And their playoff odds are still 53.7%. Alrighty, let's go to the games. We have a great family here in the chat room, so if you're not here and you hear me talking to everybody and their puppies, you can always join us live 7 days a week. Lenny Melnick, fantasysports.com/live. You can find us here 7 days a week at 9 a.m. Chat live, get to know our friends, our baseball family. We have a great crew of people here, and we love it. Kansas City against the Cubbies. Here we go, Unholy. Yeah, the Nats are kind of good now. You're right. They are kind of good. That's absolutely true. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about how good they have been as soon as we do the game recap.
Good job.
All right. The Kansas City Royals in a 3-game skid with a 4-3 victory over the Cubbies. The Cubbies started the day 2.5 games behind Milwaukee in the National League Central and missed a chance to creep closer after striking out 13 times. Cole Reagan's 6 good innings. He struck out 9, 8 hits, and allowed all 3 Chicago runs. He struck out 3 straight batters to end his final inning. Jameson Taillon was charged with 2 earned runs, 6 hits, 3 strikeouts in the first 6 innings. Carlos Hernandez got his second save in 5 chances, and Bobby Witt Jr. hit a go-ahead homer. It was his 24th of the season. Maikel Garcia, Royals third baseman, left the game in the middle of the 4th with what the club called left upper body discomfort. Taylor Clark was activated from the 15-day injured list before the game. Nick Pratto made his first rehab appearance at Omaha on Thursday, and he's been on the 10-day injured list since July 28th. Nick Birdie is recovering from an appendectomy. He planned to make an appearance for AAA Iowa yesterday. And Brandon Hughes threw a bullpen session yesterday. He's scheduled to do the same early next week. Tonight, you get to see Brady Singer against Justin Steele. Justin Steele having a great season, 13-3 with a 2.79 ERA. The Detroit Tigers beat the Guardians 4-2 in the opener of a doubleheader. Now, Detroit leads the majors with 6 doubleheaders. Gavin Williams' winless streak reached 7 starts. He threw 5 innings, 3 runs, and struck out 4. Tarek Skubal, season-high 6 innings, 1 run. It was his first win against Cleveland in 7 career outings. He allowed 3 hits, struck out 7, and walked 1. We talked about Miguel Cabrera. He drove in a run to tie Mel Ott for 11th place on the career RBI list. Akil Baddoo homered on the second pitch of the game. It was his second career leadoff homer. Jason Foley got his 6th save. Carpenter extended his hitting streak to 13 games, which is the longest active streak in the majors. Jake Rogers hit a solo homer. James Karinchak was recalled from AAA Columbus and pitched 1 1/3 hitless innings. Spencer Turnbull has to be activated or optioned to AAA Toledo by Thursday. His rehab assignment will reach 30 days. That's the maximum. He's allowed 11 runs in 12 2/3 innings with the Mud Hens unholy. Michael Kelly was placed on the 15-day injured list for Guardians. He's a right-handed pitcher. Yes, Unholy just said the Reggie documentary on Amazon Prime is well worth viewing. Daniel also said that too when he saw it, so that will be something that I will be showing with Lenny, or I will be showing to Lenny, and we'll watch it together. Will Brennan hit a tie-breaking 2-run double in Cleveland's 4-run 8th inning, and the Guardians beat the Detroit Tigers 4-1 in the second game of their doubleheader yesterday. Cleveland bounced back in the nightcap, earning its first victory in 8 doubleheader games this season. They've lost every doubleheader game this season till last night. Emmanuel Clase got his 33rd save. Joey Wentz pitched 5 scoreless innings. Xavier Curry set a career high with 6 strikeouts in 6 innings. Javier Baez joined the Tigers for the nightcap after he traveled to Puerto Rico following the death of his grandfather. He went 2 for 4 with a stolen base. Cincinnati Reds beat the Blue Jays' J.R. Matz 1-0 in the opener of an interleague series between playoff contenders. The Reds won for the 3rd time in 4 games, and the Blue Jays are in the mix for an AL wildcard. They finished with 3 hits in their second straight loss, even though they wasted a great start by Jose Berrios. Berrios struck out 8 5 2/3. He allowed 1 hit, but he walked 4, which we hate to see. Cincinnati got a big lift from Brett Kennedy, who pitched 5 good innings in his first major league start since July. He struck out 2 and walked 1. He's 29 years old. Kennedy made his major league debut with San Diego in 2018, and he was horrible. He had a 6.75 ERA in 6 starts, and he didn't make another big league appearance until July when he earned the win against Washington. He started this season with the Long Island Ducks. Christian Encarnacion Strand homered in the 9th inning. It was his 4th homer of the season. Kevin Kiermaier and Trevor Richards were both reinstated from the injured list. Tonight is Brandon Williamson against Chris Bassett. The Red Sox beat the Yankees 8-3, and the Yankees dropped 2 games under 500. They lost their 6th straight. And it's their longest losing streak since losing 7 in a row in 2021. Brayan Bello pitched 6 innings, allowed 1 run and 6 hits. He won for the 3rd time in his last 4 starts. He beat the Yankees for the 2nd time this season by getting 9 groundouts, including a pair of double play. Hey, Malpal, check out Brayan Bello's ground ball plus strikeout rate. I got to see if this guy's a potential breakout. Put it in the chat room when you do it. All right. Masataka Yoshida hit a 3-run homer 4 batters into the game, and he drove in 4 runs. Aaron Judge hit a 2-run homer. The Red Sox took a 4-0 lead 19 pitches in against the rookie pitcher Johnny Brito. Brito allowed 7 runs and 9 hits in 2 1/3 innings. Tanner Houck will be activated to start on Monday or Tuesday against Houston, and Carlos Rodon will be activated Tuesday and start against the Nationals. Tonight you get to see Cutter Crawford and Garrett Cole. Washington Nationals defeated the Phillies 8-7 yesterday. Washington has won 11 of 15 and 15 of 18 at home since July 8th. The Phillies entered the day 2 games ahead of San Francisco for the National League top wildcard spot, and Philadelphia has lost 4 of its last 5 games. Lorenzen didn't make it out of the 4th inning. He allowed 7 runs, only 6 earned, on 8 hits in 3 1/3 innings. Adone allowed 6 runs in 4 innings. Burrito makes Lenny hungry, he says. C.J. Abrams hit a 3-run homer to cap a 6-run 4th inning. C.J. Abrams doing great. Jake Alou and Blake Rutherford both drove in 2 runs. Kyle Schwarber, this is why you draft him. He homered twice last night. Now, you want to question why you draft him? I get it. I know why you draft him. The guy's a monster when it comes to home runs, but his batting average will literally crush you. Kyle Finnegan, 20th save. Bryce Harper, of course he was booed before every plate appearance, which is a customary event since he signed with Philly in 2019 after playing his first 7 seasons in Washington. Harper went 2 for 5 and led off the 4th with a double. Maybe the booing helps Harper, you know what I mean? Harper won MVP with both Washington and Philly. Is that true? That's a question mark. Off to a soccer tournament. J.R. Matz, good luck to Moose, Mikey, or Danny. Have a great day. Love it. Doing family stuff. Thompson says Brandon Marsh could be activated as early as today, and Jose Alvarado threw a scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts on Friday for Lehigh Valley. Tonight you get to see Christopher Sanchez against Jake Irvin. The Atlanta Braves beat the Giants 4-0 yesterday for their 3rd straight shutout. Like I said, they've never gotten 4. So it was the first time since the final 3 games of 2015 that the Braves shut out 3 straight games. They have 5 shutouts in their last 8 games. Listen to this. 5 shutouts in their last 8 games, and they're working on number 4 in a row, which will break a franchise record today. San Francisco, on the other hand, they began the night 1.5 games up for a wild card spot, but they've only won 10 of their last 27, and they've dropped 11 of their last 12 on the road. They were held to 1 run or fewer for the 28th time this season, which is the 3rd most in the majors. Spencer Strider, who we already gave lots of love to, struck out 10 and allowed 1 hit in 7 innings. He broke a tie with 3 other starters to take the major league lead in victories. So he also added to his MLB leading strikeout total of 227, which is literally 40 more strikeouts than the second place Kevin Gausman has. He routinely touched 98 and 99 miles an hour with his 4-seam fastball. He retired his first 9 batters with 6 strikeouts. It was the 16th double-digit strikeout performance of his career and 10th this season. Alex Cobb began the game 2-0 with a 1.29 ERA in 3 career starts against the Braves, but he allowed 4 runs and 8 hits in 5 2/3. He has a 7.59 ERA in 4 starts this month. Matt Olson, Eddie Rosario, Austin Riley, and Michael Harris drove in a run. And Michael Harris, he was the Rookie of the Year last year. He went 4 for 5 with a double and a triple, and he raised his average 8 points to 291. Marcelo Zuna singled in the first, and he has a hitting streak of 15 games, of course. Ozzie Albies, sidelined the last 3 games by a strained left hamstring, did some running on the field before the game. And tonight you get to see Logan Webb against Yonny Chirinos. Booing a guy for taking more money is un-American. I agree. And not only that, I don't think they're booing him for taking money. I think they're booing him because they're pissed off that they don't have him. Milwaukee Brewers to a 9-8 win over the Rangers in a matchup of division leaders. Now, the Brewers they're not doing as good. I mean, the NL Central is not a good division. No offense, Unholy. I know you're a big Cubby fan, but anyway, the Brewers beat the Rangers 9-8 yesterday. The Rangers lost a series opener for the first time this month. They hold a 2.5 game lead over Houston, and Houston also lost last night. So the Brewers have a two game lead over the Reds in their division. Andrew Heaney was replaced with 2 outs and a runner on in the 4th inning. He needed 84 pitches to get through it. He allowed 3 runs on 7 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. It's the second consecutive start that Heaney has been pulled early. Brewers starter Brandon Woodruff was making his 5th start of the season. He allowed 4 runs on 3 hits and 2 walks with 4 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. Yes, Keston Hiura, he has more home runs in the minors than any single Brewers that's active this season. Carlos Santana hit a go-ahead 3-run homer. Nathaniel Lowe and Mitch Garver homered. Elvis Peguero was the winner of the game. Eovaldi threw a 40-pitch bullpen session before the game yesterday, and Bochy says he will be reevaluated after his throwing session to determine how he will progress. Tonight you get to see Freddie Peralta against Dane Dunning, who is 9-4 with a 3.10 ERA. The Minnesota Twins beat the Pirates 5-1. The Twins won for the 4th time in 5 games and extended their lead in the American League Central to 5 games over Cleveland. Pittsburgh has lost 4 out of their last 5. They went 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position and left 10 runners on base. Andre Jackson gave up 2 runs on 4 hits and 3 walks in 4 1/3 innings, but Pablo Lopez came out, pitched 6 scoreless innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, and extended his scoreless streak to a career-best 19 innings. He had 7 strikeouts, and he's tied with Kevin Gausman for second in the majors with 187 strikeouts. You know that's 40 less than Strider has still. Lopez hasn't allowed a run in his last 3 starts. He owns a .36 ERA over his past 4 starts, lowering his season ERA to 3.51. Michael Taylor hit a 2-run home run and 16th homer of the season. Donovan Solano had 2 hits.
Triple play.
Good morning to Triple Play. Ji-Won Bae was activated from the 10-day injured list after recovering from a left ankle sprain. Jared Triolo was optioned to AAA Indianapolis. Joe Ryan made his first rehab start with AAA St. Paul. The only hit he allowed was a solo homer, and he had 7 strikeouts in 4 innings. Mitch Keller against Sonny Gray tonight. This poor Mitch Keller, he's received 2 runs or less of run support in 11 of his last 13 starts, and Sonny Gray has compiled 5 straight quality starts. The Mariners extended their winning streak to 4 games with a 2-0 victory over the Astros yesterday. The Mariners took a half-a-game lead over Toronto in the race for the 3rd and final AL wildcard spot. Seattle trails Houston by only 2.5 games for the 2nd wildcard spot. The Mariners last night were 0 for 17 with runners in scoring position and left 10 runners on base. Jeez. J.P. France, 2 runs, 7 hits, 7 strikeouts in 6 innings. He has allowed 3 runs or fewer in 11 of his last 12 starts. J.P. France ERA is 2.75. Bryce Miller threw 6 1/3 shutout innings. He scattered 2 hits and struck out 2. He retired 10 of the first 11 batters that he faced and set down 8 straight before exiting. Miller had a lot of friends and family in the stands because he went to college at Texas A&M, which is about 90 miles northwest of Houston. Andres Munoz got his 6th save, And Julio, we talked about Julio. Let's do it again. 4 hits, including a solo homer. He had 5 hits and drove in 5 RBIs on Thursday and went 12 for 21 in the 4-game series against the Royals. He said he couldn't remember having a stretch like his current hot streak. He tied a club record by hitting safely in 9 straight at-bats. Mike Ford homered. Altuve went 1 for 4 and has 1,998 hits for his career. He's too shy of 2,000. Kyle Tucker was scratched from the lineup due to an illness, and of course Baker is saying we are very hopeful that this is only a 24-hour thing. It's a very big guy to lose for any period of time, so Kyle Tucker, we're hoping it's just a 24-hour flu with him. Michael Brantley was working out with the team Friday at Minute Maid Park. All right, how many of you even care about Michael Brantley? Is he anywhere near the conversation of fantasy at all since he hasn't played at all? He hasn't played 1 game this season with the Astros, and he still doesn't have a timeline for return, but we continue to talk about him playing every other day, whatever. Framber Valdez goes against Logan Gilbert today. Boston Paul's favorite Oriole, Boog Powell. Unholy's favorite Oriole, Frank Robertson. Danny Fuller's second favorite is Cal Ripken. I don't know who's your first player. Now, Eddie Heckman, we are absolutely going to talk about Gunnar Henderson. Okay? Absolutely, we're going to talk about him when we do the game recaps. All right, Laura and Mary, my friends, this is for you. How about those Mets? The New York Mets beat the Cardinals 7-1, their 3rd straight victory. The Mets won 3 games in a row. We need to give them some love when love is due, even though they only just beat the Cardinals, who dropped their 3rd straight game. Thompson allowed 2 runs on 6 hits and walked a batter in 5 innings in his 2nd major league start of the season. And Luke Casey, who Lenny said to stay away from yesterday, he did good. St. Louis loaded the bases against him in the 1st inning, but he only allowed 4 hits, walked 2, and struck out 5 in 5 2/3 scoreless innings. It was his first major league start since May 13th. Our friend Brandon Nimmo, the great leadoff guy, he hit a leadoff home run, his 18th of the season. Now, I want to know why Nimmo doesn't get more love in the fantasy community. This guy is an absolute star. He's got his on-base percentage is unbeatable, but the fact that he bats leadoff and he still has a lot of power, I mean, 18 home runs isn't anything spectacular, but if you got a guy getting on base constantly, his batting average and on-base percentage are great. If he's batting leadoff, he's scoring runs no matter how bad the team is. I'm telling you, it was his 4th leadoff home run this season and 11th of his career, and gave him a 10-game hitting streak because no matter what's going on around him, Brandon Nimmo will come through. Jeff McNeil had a 3-run shot, his 6th home run of the season. Now, I'm very glad that the Mets won because Pete Alonso was feeling pretty bad about what he did. I think he made I don't know if he threw the ball to the stands and he wasn't aware of how many outs there were in the inning, but there was another throw that went right by him at first base. What, Leonard?
He threw the ball in the stands. It was Wynn's first hit, so Wynn wanted to save the ball.
Oh, Pete Alonso felt horrible because it was Mason Wynn's very first hit of his career, and Alonso threw the ball in the stands. He was I gotta say, he was a little bit testy in his response because while he was apologizing for what he did, he came out with this snarky comment about how, I always throw the ball into the stands, but I guess I'll never do that again. I'll always just throw the ball into the dugout instead of throwing it into the stands from now on. It was kind of snarky because really it was just a mistake that he made. And he was taking all of this heat for it. Well, he was beating himself up for it. But Anyway, so Mason Wynn, he went 1 for 4 yesterday. He started at shortstop. It was his major league debut. It was his first hit, and Pete Alonso threw it away, so whatever. Anyway, Jeff McNeil had a 3-run shot, his 6th home run of the season. The Cardinals placed Lars Nootbaar on the 10-day injured list and recalled Wynn from AAA Memphis. Ryan Helsley, when is this guy ever going to come back? Forget it. How many of you out there have Ryan Helsley on your team? You could join me in the pain and suffering. He allowed 1 hit and walked a batter in a third of an inning in rehab at AAA Memphis. He underwent an MRI after he experienced discomfort in his previous outing for AA Springfield last Sunday. So is he coming back or what? I mean, forget it. What's the point at this point? But still, what a disappointment. I know he was risky to draft him in the first place. I'm not saying he was a great closer. I expected a ton from him. In fact, he was very affordable at drafts, and that's why I ended up with him most of the time. He was like one of the last closers available that were guaranteed to be a closer. But honestly, it was a risk, and that's why he fell so low. So there's that. Cody Senga, he was set to start Saturday against... Oh, no. Tonight you get to see Cody Senga against Miles Mikolas. The Colorado Rockies beat the White Sox 14-1. The Rockies finished with the season-high scoring total after coming in having lost 7 of their past 8 games and 15 of their last 21 games. And the White Sox have lost 5 of 6 and 17 of their last 24. They fell to a season-worst 26 games below 500. Still, Peter Lambert, he pitched 7 strong innings. He gave up Elvis Andrus' 100th career home run on the very first pitch of the game, but he allowed just 4 hits and no runs over the next 6 innings. His 7 innings were a season high and the most since his first career MLB appearance in 2019, and Michael Kopech, good grief, this guy gave up a career worst 9 runs in 4 innings. Ezequiel Tovar, alias Diaz, each hit 2-run homers as part of a 5-run first inning. Diaz had 3 hits after coming in batting .207 with just 2 home runs in 27 games since the All-Star break. But he also had his 2nd career stolen base and his 1st since 2017. Ryan McMahon hit his team-leading 21st homer. And Andrus, like I said, it was his 100th career homer yesterday. He finished with 3 out of Chicago's 4 hits. And this is interesting because the game pitted White Sox reliever Jimmy Lambert and his younger brother Peter on opposing teams for the very first time. The two played together before, but most recently it was in high school. They said they talk on the phone all the time, and they learn from each other, but they have a great relationship. Yesterday was the first time that they faced off against each other. 2 brothers, 2 pitchers. All right, we talked about Eloy going to paternity and Lennon Sosa being recalled from AAA Charlotte. He was in the lineup yesterday at second base. Tonight is Jesse Schultens against Kyle Freeland. Now, despite the Angels turning their first triple play in 26 years and Ohtani hitting his 2nd grand slam in the majors, LA still found a way to lose. Harold Ramirez had 3 hits and Josh Lowe drove in 3 runs. The Tampa Bay Rays beat the Angels 9-6 in 10 innings. Despite being the first team since Detroit in 2017 to hit a grand slam and turn a triple play in the same game, the Angels lost. They have dropped 3 of their last 4, and they are 4-12 in August. They are also 7.5 games out of the final wild card spot. Is everybody ready to write off the Angels at this point? Ouch. Tampa Bay has won 5 of their last 7 games, and they hold the first AL wildcard spot. They're 2 games behind Baltimore for the AL East lead. Logan O'Hoppe, I want you all to be paying attention to this kid. Not only was he activated from the injured list yesterday, he missed 4 months because he had a right labrum tear in his shoulder. He is absolutely someone to watch. He is looking great. He's got the good attitude. He's improving all over the place. Logan O'Hoppe is absolutely someone to keep your eye on, for no doubters. Jose Siri was out of the starting lineup after he felt soreness in his left pinky finger while he was swinging, but they did use him in the 10th inning as a pinch runner. He started on second as the automatic runner, and he advanced to third on a wild pitch by Carlos Estevez, and then Luke Raley drove in Siri for the go-ahead run. And Estevez, he was successful in his first 23 save opportunities to begin the season. He has been struggling this month in August. He's 0-3 with 3 saves and a 14 ERA in 7 outings this month. 43rd homer of the season, Matt Olson tying with Ohtani. Still, they go back and forth every day. Both of Ohtani's grand slams have come against the Rays. Mike Trout hit live pitching on Thursday, and he could be activated as soon as today. So Nevin says that Trout still felt a little sore yesterday, but that he doesn't think Trout needs to face live pitching again before coming off the injured list. Rendon was moved to the 60-day injured list, surprise, surprise, and he would be eligible to come off September 11th. Today, split doubleheader because of the forecast of the perfectly named Hurricane Hillary hitting the West Coast tomorrow. So, Tyler Glasnow against Chase Silseth in the first game, and then the night game will be Eflin against Patrick Sandoval. Orioles and Eddie Teresa and the town of Baltimore beat the Oakland A's 9-4. Oakland lost for the 8th time in their last 10 games. Kyle Gibson struck out 6 and didn't walk anybody. 4 runs, 9 hits, 5 innings. He was actually coming off of his first loss in 7 starts, and he's 1 win from matching his career high in wins, which he did twice previously and most recently in 2019 when he pitched with Minnesota. Gunnar Henderson hit a 2-run homer and added an RBI single. He is the manager Brandon Hyde's choice for AL Rookie of the Year. It was his 20th home run and 13th multi-RBI game. Now, Aaron Hicks, the all too often injured, tested his back injury with some swings in the indoor cage, and manager Brandon Hyde said he hasn't ruled out his return to the lineup today. But Hicks missed his 3rd straight start because of back discomfort, and that was in his very first game back from the injured list, so perhaps he's not ready to be back from the injured list. Irvin pitches against Waldichuk today. The Padres beat the Diamondbacks 4-0. San Diego won for the 3rd time in 4 games, improving to 3-2 on a 10-game homestand. The Padres need a strong finish and some help to rally into a National League wildcard spot. The Diamondbacks had won 3 in a row and 5 of their last 6 overall, but they went 0-7 with runners in scoring position and left 7 runners on base. Robert Suarez got 3 outs for the win, and Josh Hader struck out the side in the 9th. Brandon Pfaadt pitched 7 innings. He struck out 5 and walked 3. He was actually working on a no-hitter before Soto doubled with 1 out in the 7th inning. So Pfaadt had a no-hitter going out into the 7th, but he remains winless in 12 career starts. Seth Lugo struck out 9 in 6 innings. He allowed 5 hits and walked 3. Tatis Jr. capped a 4-run 8th with his 20th home run. Gabriel Moreno had 2 of Arizona's 6 hits. Machado, he was playing DH yesterday because he's got a minor right elbow issue. He went 0-1, but he walked 3 times, and Melvin says Machado will probably play in the field in the second game today. So Macho Manny, nothing to be concerned about. Merrill Kelly starts. Okay, so Merrill Kelly is pitching for the Diamondbacks in the first game, and they haven't announced a starter for their second game. The Padres haven't announced a starter for their first game, but they're throwing Darvish in there for their second game. Jorge Soler hit 2 of the Marlins' season-high 5 home runs off of Tony Gonsolin, and Miami snapped the Dodgers' 11-game winning streak with an 11-3 victory. The Dodgers lost for only the second time in 17 games in August. Gonsolin gave up a career-worst 10 runs, and he only got 10 outs, by the way. He tied Don Sutton's 1973 record for homers allowed in a start during the Los Angeles Dodgers era. Gonsolin had never given up more than 2 homers in a start, but he flopped when the Dodgers desperately needed him to eat innings in the first of 3 games between these clubs in just over 24 hours. After the game, Gonsolin, this is how they write it. They say that he finally acknowledged that he's been pitching through some sort of elbow injury, but I don't think they've been complaining about him for weeks with problems. I don't think that they should say he finally acknowledged it. I mean, Dave Roberts has been talking about it for weeks. And the thing is, last season, he missed 40 games because of forearm tightness, and now they're just going to let this injury go, and he's been pitching with this injury for weeks. And now they say, well, Dave Roberts says, well, they say Gonsolin finally acknowledged that this injury might require him to take a break from the rotation, but Dave Roberts has been hinting for weeks about it. I don't know. Whatever. Think what you will. I'd like to hear from Danny Fuller on this one, Mr. Pesky Dodger lovers. Sandy Alcantara, 3 solo homers, 6 innings, 7 hits for the Marlins. The Marlins opened a 6-game West Coast trip with their first 5-homer game since 2012. Jake Berger is up to 27 home runs now. Jacob Stallings, a 2-run shot, and the Marlins scored 6 runs on 3 homers in the 3rd inning. Jazz Chisholm's 3-run homer in the 4th. Mookie Betts set a franchise record with his 11th leadoff homer of the season. Max Muncy and James Outman homered, so this isn't just a one-sided home run game. There were a ton of home runs yesterday. Jorge Soler now up to 32 homers. Remember when he hit 48 homers for Kansas City in 2019? The Dodgers were losing so bad they pulled Betts and Freeman from the game before the 5th inning so they could rest their top 2 hitters for today's game. Games, plural. JD Martinez went 1 for 3 and has returned to the lineup after playing in just 2 of the last 10 games because of a nagging groin injury. And tonight you get to see Yuri Perez is going to start the first game of the doubleheader. We don't know who the Dodgers are going to put out there against Yuri Perez, but it's likely to include a bullpen game and a season debut for Ryan Pepio, who, remember, was fighting for a rotation spot during spring training, but got an oblique injury that sidelined him for 3.5 months. Julio Urias will start the nightcap for the Dodgers against Braxton Garrett. And that's it. 4 minutes early. How's everybody doing? Do you have anything you want to add, Leonard?
No, I love listening.
He loves listening. King Turd is going to bench Yuri Perez for this one. Yeah, it's a little scary. And it probably does mean he says he's probably gonna throw 7 innings of 1-hit ball. But it is a scary team to pitch Yuri against. I would still pitch him. He's too good to leave on the bench. And the Marlins do have some momentum going in this game after they already crushed everybody yesterday. They have 2 games today. So they're gonna need Yuri to stay in the game as long as possible. I would pitch Yuri today. That's just me. Leonard Donaldson says he also benched Yuri Perez Absolutely. Congrats to the King Turd family. We love it. We love new additions. We love all the dogs, everybody. Chris Gallo says, how you doing? Have a great day, everybody. I'm pitching Yuri.